Hey soldiers, Jerome Powell looks like he's about to start raising interest rates again. And he's going to blame it on you, which is a demonstrable lie. We're going to tell you the real reason that Jerome Powell is raising interest rates and making it more expensive for you to live. He's making it more expensive for you to go out here and get a mortgage loan, to get a car loan. He is raising the interest rate on your already exorbitantly expensive credit cards. Because we're at 24% on average right now. We're going up from there. Now, look, the whole thing that Jerome Powell and others have used as an excuse for raising these interest rates is inflation. Let me tell you what the number one cause for inflation is. It's government spending, okay? And the government has been spending like there's no tomorrow in a totally undisciplined way since 2020 in the events that you are well familiar with that came along with that. It seems like at that point, they just lost their minds. Now, let me give you some perspective. From 1776, yes, when the country was founded, to the early 80s, I think it was actually 1980 or 81. In that span of time, over 200 years, that's how long it took us to rack up $1 trillion in national debt. From June of 2023 through August 30th, we racked up just over $1 trillion of debt, okay? In just 3 months, compared to over 200 years. This is where we are. Oh, and by the way, since the beginning of September till now, guess what? We're over halfway to racking up another $1 trillion in debt, and we'll be there, I would predict, by the end of November, okay? So that's what we're doing these days, okay? We are racking up, we're racking up $1 trillion per quarter. It's insane. It's totally irresponsible, and we're preparing to spend even more. We've got a $100 billion draft aid package that the Biden administration has just put together. And they're saying they're going to have $60 billion more for an Eastern European country whose flag is blue over gold. We're going to have $10 billion for the conflict in the Middle East and $30 billion in other earmarks. Now, what are earmarks? They're bribes. $30 billion to say, hey, Congressman, I know you weren't planning on voting for this, because you want to be fiscally responsible and you understand that our debt is a problem as a nation. But this $30 billion may change your mind because we're going to bring some money home to your district, okay? Allow you to have this or that. That's $30 billion out of your pocket, taking you from right now, each taxpayer, if you divided it out equally, owes about $258,000 in taxes. That's your share of the national debt. Hey, you know what? It's not our money. That's what these people are thinking. Let's spend it. We need to talk once again about how you can legally, using the tax code, extricate yourself from this madness. But before we do that, look, this is why inflation won't go away, because the government will not stop spending. So when you hear Jerome Powell say things like, well, you know what, inflation is still too high, why doesn't he walk over to Janet Yellen's office or to the White House and say, look, this is absolutely insane. We got to stop spending. Chuck Schumer, they just put the guy in as the interim Speaker of the House. I forget his name. He looks like Smithers off of The Simpsons. The Republicans are in total disarray. This whole government is a clown show. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. It's at the point where if you can't admit that, and if you can't admit that this whole nation is being mismanaged financially and otherwise, then I don't know what planet you're on. So Jerome Powell says, hey, inflation's still too high and it could require additional tax hikes. The U.S. economy's strength and continued tight labor markets could warrant further Federal Reserve interest rate increases, according to Jerome Powell. which he said today, Thursday, the 19th of October, in remarks that appeared to push back against market expectations that the central bank's rate hikes had reached an end. Remember, we reported on 2 Fed officials that said they were looking at other factors, like the fact that the American consumer has $1.7 trillion of student loan debt, has over $1 trillion of credit card debt at 24% interest on average. And they were looking at that saying, look, it's going to slow down. They just don't have the money. They've maxed out. Credit card delinquencies are up. But Jerome Powell is saying, no, consumer, it's still your fault because you're still buying. You're buying more than ever. Of course, it looks that way if you just look at it from a dollar perspective because of inflation. We got to spend more money. We got to take more dollars into the food line or the whatever it is, your local grocery store. So no, we're not getting more, but we're spending more. So through this sleight of hand, using functionaries in the media who don't understand the economy in the first place, they're getting the impression that it's us, the taxpayer, the consumer. No, it is the federal government that will not stop spending, that keeps putting money out there for all sorts of reasons, few of which have to do with American citizens, mind you. And any economist worth their salt will tell you that when the government spends, it creates inflation. We are attentive to recent data showing the resilience of economic growth and demand for labor, additional evidence of persistently above trend growth, or that tightness in the labor market is no longer easing. Listen, with regard to those labor market figures, keep in mind more Americans than ever are working 2 full-time jobs or seeking part-time employment just to make ends meet. So thank God they can get that, but you're not working 2 full-time jobs if you got a really strong economy, right? You're doing that because you need to make more money just to feed your family, all right? So they're painting this rosy picture and putting this all on us, the consumer, the taxpayer, in order to paper over the fact that we have just, our government has gone absolutely bananas. Now look, he's saying for inflation to durably return to the Fed's 2% target, quote, it is likely to require a period of below trend growth, i.e. recession. I don't know why they try to mystify this stuff. And some further softening in labor market conditions, i.e. lay you off, okay? Now, they jazz it up to sound really complicated and complex, but that's what it means, recession and layoffs, all right? Meanwhile, we've got the consumer price index that is, you know, what you feel when you go to the grocery store. That's up, okay? The consumer price index rose 6.7% in the 12 months ending September 2023. And he's talking about we're just out here, you know, having a good time. All right. He's talking about that this is his definition of strength. All right. Not to be outdone, the producer price index. This is what it costs corporations to produce goods. The producer price index is up 2.15% from a year ago. They're passing that on in the hopes of staying profitable. So that's what's happening. We're being blamed for this, but understand it is government spending, and they're spending on things that are not to our advantage as Americans. Foreign wars, wars that may expand, mind you, and call for, in their mind, the involvement of the United States of America militarily. Let me tell you something, diplomacy is a lot more affordable. All right, guys, that's what's happening out there. We'll continue to monitor it, guys. I'll talk to you soon.